And the concert begins at 7 o'clock. See you there.
All right, 9 minutes before 11 o'clock. Yeah, don't forget this this weekend is Mother's Day weekend. I know you're going to spend time with your mom and your daughter. It's going to be a nice ladies' weekend for you.
A girls' weekend out.
You going to a hockey game?
The whole week? Nope. But we're going to John's Pass, and we're going to get a couple buckets of beer. It'll be fine.
Okay.
My mother's looking forward to it.
On the phone is Karin Slaughter, and she has a new book. It's called The Kept Woman. It's a thriller novel. For those who don't already know Karin, you probably do, but she is one of the world's most popular storytellers. Her Will Trent series, Grant County series, and Coptown the novel are in development for film and television. So that's pretty impressive right there. Karin Slaughter, good morning, Karin. Thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Where are you?
Whoa. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. I heard my voice echo back at me. That's why I said, "Whoa." Is this part of a series, The Kept Woman?
It is. It's part of my Will Trent series, and like many of the Will Trent books, it opens up where he's exceedingly happy, and then something horrible happens.
and does he like that? I mean, do you know him? I mean, you created him, right? You're his god.
Well, yeah, I have a feeling he doesn't like it. I mean, nobody likes anything horrible happening. But, I try to write interesting, twisty-turny stories, so hopefully people know that in the end we figure out who the bad guy is.
Do you hate when they end? The readers hate when these books end. Do you hate when they end as a writer, or are you happy?
Oh, I'm very happy. Keep in mind, it takes about a year for me to complete one of these books. So, every writer is excited about the book they're going to be working on after the one they're working on now, until they're working on it, and then it's always the next one. But I was really happy with this book. I thought I was able to talk about some social issues and, give readers a good, entertaining time along the way.
And one of the most wonderful things about this is that your series is a decade old and it's still going strong. The Will Trent.
Yeah, it's always nice to be able to keep doing what you love for a living, and I'm real grateful for my readers that they still love my stories. They're still getting the book.
Do you know when there's a comment made that men are all horrible, and I'm not saying you've made that comment, but I think we don't, or if a man says all women are horrible, let's just turn it around so I don't feel so uncomfortable saying it. But I always say you don't need to worry about all of them. You just need to worry about that one. But the story illustrates that sometimes that one can be horrible, and that's not always a good thing, right?
Well, exactly. I write about an athlete who is abusing women, and that's certainly something that we see in the news.
Right.
And we don't often see stories about athletes doing good things, and just as if we don't often see stories about cops doing good things. I mean, people like what they like, and apparently they want to hear all the bad stuff, which is good for my business because I write about bad stuff. But there is a passage in the book where Faith, my special agent, is talking to her boss, who is also a woman, and her boss says, "Look, don't let this job make you hate men, because the fact is most of the perpetrators of these really violent, horrible crimes are men." And, it's a kind of a reality check for the character to say, look, don't extrapolate this to all men. And as human beings, we have a tendency to do that, whether it's based on sex or color or creed or religion or whatever. I mean, and I think it's good to question those sometimes.
That's right. But the thing is this, that there's no real need for you to hook up with a mailman necessarily. No offense to all the mailmen out there, but if all the mailmen you met were horrible, you would never want to be with a mailman because you would believe that there's no good one. And the same thing, I think that's true for us humans when we're looking for a mate. I have no need to necessarily hook up with somebody of my own gender because that's the way I am. But so I don't care if all men are bad, but I would care if all women were. But it doesn't matter as long as there's one good one. That's all that matters, right?
Well, as long as you can find her,
or pay for her.
And you truly are a great writer, and you not only are able to write for the adult genre, but you are an advocate for reading for all ages. I mean, gosh, you're the founder of Say the Library, and you make sure that no matter what the book for any age is available to everyone in the communities, because even in our community, a lot of people will go to the library, read the books, and then they will still be there for others to read.
Absolutely, and when I was growing up, the library was the most important building to me, not just because it was the only air-conditioned building in town, but because, my parents were not readers, and we didn't really have a bookstore in my small town for them to take me to. We had the Book of the Month Club, and I was allowed to pick out one a month, and that was a big treat for me. But the library is where I spent most of my time, and the thing about America is we say we give everybody a chance. And increasingly, in order to exploit that chance, you need an education, you need an understanding of literature. Kids don't read literature just for fun. It's not important for it. The fun part is what gets them in there. But there are brain studies that prove that children who read from an early age develop pathways for critical thinking in their brains that non-reading children do not.
Oh, I love that.
And I know our politicians don't want us to be capable of critical thinking, but as a population, we should really want that, and I think we should advocate more for funding for libraries.
Oh, I love that.
Like you're in Ocala in Gainesville. I think you have a football team down there.
Yes, go Gators.
Yeah, do you? But if you think about how much is spent on that football team and ancillary things to that football team, imagine if 1% of that was spent on your library system. Just how fantastic your city system would be.
Well, it's so wonderful you say that. Right now, this month, I think it's like a 2-month thing we've been doing, but we're helping out the local literacy council. They teach adults who never learned how to read for one reason or another. And so their lives are being changed, even though it's late in life for most of them. I don't think there's any children in there.
But some are professionals.
Some
are doctors.
Some have amazing careers already, but they just never learned how to read.
Well, that's fantastic. And, if you think about the fact that 80% of the adults in the criminal justice system are functionally illiterate, how cheap is it to invest in a library and a school as opposed to a prison for the rest of an adult's life?
Right. Oh, I love that. Jeez, here's my voice again. Okay. All right. Okay. Karin Slaughter spells her name Karin, by the way. You're getting great reviews. Let's see, 4.4 stars out of 846 reviews. You spent a whole year on this, and it only cost $9.99 to read it. Wow, that's a lot of work for a little bit of money. You must live in a shack.
Yeah. Well, I live in Atlanta, and our heat isn't as bad as yours, but the humidity makes everyone feel like they're living in a shack.
Toward the end of the book, there's one part where you are talking about how we all have baggage, and you say the Pope has baggage. That's right. I mean, that's true. Mm-hmm. We all have our problems. We all have our crosses to bear, so to speak. Thank you for being on the show. I have a copy of the book. If you would like it, call me. It's called The Kept Woman, and I will leave it for you. The rest of us have to go buy it. I found it on Amazon. I'm guessing it's everywhere. Karin, do you have a website of your own you want to promote?
KarinSlaughter.com. That's Karin with an I, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter and all that.
Okay. Thank you for being on the show, Karin. That was awesome.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. A warning from the NSA director.
We face a growing variety of advanced threats from actors who are operating with ever more sophistication, speed, and precision.
Director Michael Rogers, who is also the U.S. Cyber Commander, testifying in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee this a day after former Acting Attorney General Sally Yates spoke before a Senate hearing about Russian interference in the U.S. election. In Florida, flight cancellations causing chaos.
Hundreds of angry passengers at the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport's Spirit Airlines ticket counter when they were suddenly told their flights were canceled. 9 Spirit flights canceled last night, 1 this morning, and sheriff's deputies had to get into the